Hey, Train, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you tell me age and location?
Yeah, I'm 20. I'm in the UK, London. Do you
Gotcha.
mind if I turn my
One,
camera
one,
on?
one second before you do that. Abby, same thing to you.
Yeah, I'm 64. I'm in Texas.
64. Man. You
Yeah.
at 64, are you still drinking regular coffee or is it decaf?
Oh man, it's straight.
Oh man, you the man. Okay. Well, then we have something in common. Hey, Train, what's on your mind, man?
Yeah, so I disagree with your worldview basically entirely because obviously I'm a leftist, as you would say. So I disagree on, for example, feminism, immigration, religion as well, as an atheist. So I don't understand why you believe what you do. I don't really think that it's conducive to a good society, especially in the USA. Like the UK, it's multicultural. I don't think it's beneficial at all, and it is actually quite harmful. So I'd be curious as to why you believe what you do.
Well, I'm going to leave this one to Rob.
Yeah, okay. So immigration, let's start with that. You're in the UK. Did you find it beneficial when hundreds of thousands of British girls were harmed in the most severe way possible by immigrants from Pakistan because were afraid to say that they were doing it because we'd be accused of racism? Was that beneficial?
Okay, so as someone from the UK, it's not hundreds of thousands. That's
Your audio is very low. So
it's not hundreds of thousands, and I don't like the fact that the right, especially, focuses on. It's kind of like a scapegoat. You focus on people of color when you don't actually understand that. In fact, native, even in the US, Native Americans and Native Brits actually per capita commit a lot more crimes, especially those of attacking younger people. I want to be careful what I say compared to uh, compared to immigrants or people who are from other countries. So that's not particularly true at all. So I just don't like how you focus on it. So I don't understand.
I don't believe you about those per capita numbers. I don't think that's anywhere near close to true whatsoever. For example, we see the massive problem with Pakistani gangs in places like the United Kingdom. We can see, for example, this data is backed up in other European countries. For example, Sweden used to be one of the safest communities. Now, for crimes like that against women, we see that it is precipitously going as they brought in people, particularly from Muslim cultures. So it's just not true. You're absolutely incorrect. As far as the 100,000 number, I will admit that numbers vary, but there are credible organizations that have said in the United Kingdom, including some government bodies and people in parliament, that have said the numbers of the girls affected were over 100,000. Nonetheless, you also ignore the point that the attackers, one, as official documents have showed, many times cited their religion and the specific targeting of white people or Christians as sort of the reason that this occurred. And secondly, the officials said that the reason that they didn't counter this was because they were afraid of being called racist. So for you to come in and say the mere pointing out of this is itself racist sort of gives the game away. You really don't care about these abuses that occur because the very thing that allowed them to occur, you precipitate again here by saying that I'm racist by focusing on
Okay,
it.
hold on. You're completely incorrect. Again, making up figures. You're basically saying lies. That's not true at all. It's 100,000. That's absolutely not the case. As someone from the UK, there's no verifiable source that would indicate that those numbers are
How
true.
many
And I
was it,
find it
according to
funny.
you?
I find it so funny that the only difference between you and people from these so-called, cultures which you view as lesser than is just skin color. You believe the same exact things. Republicans, for example, in the US believe in, in certain states, oh, my light went out, but in certain states, there's things like, marriage with people. Again, I want to be careful what language I use, but there's, certain things that are allowed that are quite dangerous towards women. And you guys don't care about women. You're against abortions, which is basically healthcare for women. So it's just ridiculous that you're kind of, again, it's just an
So,
excuse for you
so
to.
I just want to be clear because I'm against the murder of innocent children, including female children. That means that I'm basically the same as a Pakistani refugee that's grooming young children. That's the argument here.
No, I mean, for other reasons, you're mainly the same because you're against abortion. You don't support women's rights. You really don't. You're not feminist, obviously, so you clearly don't support women. But on the other hand, is that you're so focused on these other people, but you don't look at the native Brits who actually, per capita, commit a lot more crimes.
I
For
don't.
example,
Show me
ones
the
against
data.
women than those
Show me the
foreigners. And it
data.
was not.
Show me the data. Show me the data that per capita native British people commit more of these type of crimes against children in the nature that we're talking about. Show me that data. Where are you getting that data?
Yeah. So if you look, I
can I in F actual as rapid on act.
because many are quite
What's wrong with
biased.
the source? 20, but I want you to think about this. Let's just say that they got this wrong. It's not 25%. Let's just say it's like, I don't know, 15%, and they were wrong. They were wrong about 10% of this. But if it's 15% and it's 10% of the population doing that, that's still disproportionate. Do you understand that?
I mean, it's disproportionate to a certain extent.
Well, it's still
but yeah.
disproportionate. So Rob was correct. He said that this is disproportionate by the by foreign nationals inside of this nation. There is compelling evidence here that I'm looking at as of November 2025. I would like to have either A, some counter evidence, or B, for you to tell me what's actually wrong with this data, or what it is that I should be using instead.
It's just the issue of the focus solely on certain immigrants from a certain area and ignoring that immigrants are actually extremely beneficial for the United Kingdom as well.
That's a different argument. That's a different argument. Let's not move the argument. Let's not move the goalpost.
Why is
Let's
it
stick with, hang on, stop.
Why
You're
do
not
you look at
allowed to
Native
move. You're
Britain?
not allowed to move the goalpost of the argument
I'm not
unless
moving
you
the
either
goalpost. I'm just asking why you can't look at
dude,
Native Britons.
chill out, bro. I'll let you talk. I promise. If it's the case that this was the argument from Rob was, what's so great about this if it accounts for a disproportionate amount of SA inside of this nation, and it clearly does. Clearly does, at least by the figures that I'm looking at, which are official government figures. According to them, they link to official government figures. So the question then becomes, how is Rob wrong? Don't move the goalpost into some other benefit you think migration gives the UK. Let's start with this without you moving the goalpost. Show me how Rob is wrong about this.
So you're speaking specifically about Afghan nationals, those just that subsect of those people.
Are they not immigrants because they're Afghanistan or Afghani or what?
They're a very small subsect of immigrants who come to the UK. There's not the majority are not from Afghanistan. Number one. Number two.
This doesn't say Afghan. Then becomes, how is Rob wrong? Don't move the goalpost into some other benefit you think migration gives the UK. Let's start with this without you moving the goalpost. Show me how Rob is wrong about this.
So you're speaking specifically about Afghan nationals, those just that subsect of those people.
Are they not immigrants because they're Afghanistan or Afghani or what?
They're a very small subsect of immigrants who come to the UK. There's not the majority are not from Afghanistan. Number one. Number two.
This doesn't say Afghanistan. This says foreign nationals.
And again, there's other.
You're talking specifically about those people from Afghanistan.
I'm talking specifically about foreign nationals. Foreign nationals.
That's not true.
Well, if it's not true, then give me the counter evidence and I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's from Afghanistan. I'm looking at it now, for example. You're speaking specifically about Afghanistan, like that one country, and sure.
Where does it say this is only about Afghanistan and Afghanistan-based people coming into the UK? Show me. Show me where this is specifically about that, because it seems to be saying that these are foreign nationals, not just from Afghanistan then.
In addition, if I can real quick, you cited is the Telegraph, is that right wing? Or if I cite with the Telegraph, will you say that it needs to be dispensed with because it's right wing? Or do you consider
the Telegraph is more moderate, more center, I'd say.
Okay, so according to the Telegraph, citing recent figures, foreign nationals are more than 3 times as likely to be arrested for offenses of this nature than British citizens. Police made 9,000, this is from basically January 2025. Police made more than 9,000 arrests of foreign nationals for these sorts of offenses in the first 10 months of last year. The numbers, the worst countries, it's not even Afghanistan, number one. Albania is number one, followed by Afghanistan, Iraq, Algeria, Congo, Morocco, Somalia, Eritrea, Iran, and Sudan, all with incredible numbers that are much higher than the British population. This is according to the Telegraph and the studies they're citing, which you're saying are more left-wing. Now, I've never heard anyone credibly show any evidence that suggests that the native-born British population per capita is more likely to commit these offenses. So I would be interested in you providing that evidence. Instead, what you said is, nah, it's racist and it comes from right-wing sources. I'm sorry, but that's not an argument.
I agree with you to a certain extent that some, from a certain subsect of immigrants perhaps are committing more disproportionate crimes than native Brits or people born in Britain. But again, that is just a subsect. So I'm reading it here from the Migration
What's the
Observatory.
subset?
Afghan, Iraqi, Sudanese, Indian people from
So
those.
so are
But-
those? So should we
but
stop immigration
no.
from those people? Should the UK stop the immigration from those particular subsets then?
From particular subsects, I think that there's a lot more that we could do in terms of integration rather than just stopping immigration because it's necessary. It's more about integration, education.
Why is immigration to the UK necessary from those nations?
Because the population is declining. So kind of how it works, for example.
Yeah, but why do you need to get the population specifically from those nations?
I mean, if the native population or the people in the UK, this is the case for many developed countries like South Korea, Japan, etc., and the US, if they're not having
The
children,
Japanese don't take in migrants.
and their population is declining, which is going to be an issue for an aging
That's
population.
true, but it's going to be a population which is declining without SA of their women by foreign nationals, right?
Okay, I'm sure when you can't retire at all, you're going to be so worried about this supposed.
Well, Adrian,
So you can retire in a
logically
life
go
of
with-
luxury as long as the supposed numbers of the things that you're actually quoting as being true. What are you talking about? At least you can
My
kick your
point-
feet up in luxury, though. You just got to worry about your daughter getting her ass pinched on the way home, or what?
And again, this doesn't. You're acting like this happens a lot. How big is the population? This does not happen very frequently. Again, it's just exaggerating an issue to make a scapegoat to not focus on the true
It
issue.
is- It is not. And it's not just a matter of the crime, it's also the cultural changes. And people are waking up to this. And I'm glad because the claims of you're racist no longer matter. People like me find this to be as benign as saying, like, oh, you're a fan of this team or that. I don't care that you've overplayed that hand saying racism. What I'll say is this, right? The statistics in general for all migration shows that twice as likely to 3 times likely to commit crimes in Britain. That's just Britain. It's worse in other countries like Sweden. I think that it's funny that you came in and you said you criticized the entirety of Andrew's worldview, and then let's see where your worldview leads to. Well, you support sort of secularism and atheism, right? Which means that people don't have pro-family values. You support abortion, which means that people are less likely to have children. Then, with all the problems that come with that, you say, well, now we need to mass import people from cultures that are committing more crimes. All of this stems logically from your worldview. Andrew and I's worldview would be a Christian worldview that would suggest not prioritizing materialism, but prioritizing the family and Christian values, which would mean we wouldn't be in this position where we'd have population decline, necessitating that for economic reasons, we bring in people with massively different cultures that exacerbate all the problems that we're talking about.